Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Baxter and I'm a developer advocate for Bluemix at IBM. And I'm back again with another video on doing deployments from IBM's DevOps Services to Bluemix. In my previous video I showed you how to create a deployment pipeline for a Maven project within IBM's DevOps Services to deploy that project right to Bluemix. Now the problem with that deployment pipeline was that when the deployment was happening, the application would be unavailable to our users. And this is fine, for maybe development or testing purposes. But in production, we need as much uptime as we possibly can. So when we deploy new versions of our application, even though that deployment may happen, only over a course of a minute or so, we want to make sure that our application is constantly available to our users. So there's a technique we can use called blue-green deployments, which allows us to have zero downtime during our deployments of our new versions of our applications, which would be perfect for production type of applications. And during blue-green deployments, what you do is you deploy a new version, a separate application, a new version of your app to Bluemix, and you leverage the Bluemix or Cloud Foundry router to map the same route between those two applications, so that traffic will be routed to both versions of the application, the new and the old version of the application. Once you're satisfied with the stability of the new version of the application, you can remove the route from the old version of the application and delete that application if you want. Or if the new version of the application is unstable and you need to go back and fix some things, you can delete the new version of the application and still have the old version up and running and not affect too many users with those problems. So you can easily use the Cloud Foundry command line utility in order to perform this blue-green deployment process. And since the Cloud Foundry command line utility is what is used during the deploy stage of your application in IBM DevOps Services, it's pretty easy to script that out in your deploy stage and do blue-green deployments from IBM DevOps Services. But since the Cloud Foundry command line utility is not specific to any type of runtime or application in general, you can create a generalized script that will do these deployments for any type of application that you can use across all your deployment pipelines in IBM DevOps Services. So I have done that and put that script as a gist up on GitHub. So you can see it's a very simple bash script. There's some usage instructions and then the script itself. But the script not only does deployments in a blue-green fashion, but also takes care of binding services, setting environment variables, and mapping routes as well. And to accomplish that, it uses a couple different environment variables to keep the state of which environment variables you want to set in your application, which services you want to map, which routes you want to map, so forth and so on. So to get started converting our deployment pipeline over to a blue-green deployment, what we're going to first do is go to the deploy stage and click Configure in IBM DevOps Services. And we see we have our old version of our script here, which basically pushed the application, bound the service, set an environment variable, and started the application up. So we're going to use some of the information that we have here in the environment variables for our new script. If we look at the usage details here for our application, we see that there's an environment variable called cfpush_args, which is the string of arguments when used when calling cfpush. So that is this string here. So we see we're passing a -p and passing the name of the WAR file we want to push, as well as -m to specify the amount of memory we want. So we're going to copy these two arguments here and use them as our cfpush_args environment variable. So if we go to the Environment Properties tab here and click Add Property and select Text Property, and we copy the name of the environment variable here, which is cfpush_args, and paste it in the name field, and then go back to the job and copy the -p and -m arguments, we can do that. We can use that. We don't need the --no start because that's actually already part of the script. That's part of doing the blue-green deployments. You need that argument, so we'll just have to copy every other argument besides the --no start. So we'll go back to our Environment Properties tab, and we'll paste this value into the property, into the environment variable value. The next thing we do in our current script is bind a service. So in the blue-green deployment script, there is a services environment variable we can use to do that. So let's copy that environment variable name. We're going to go to environment properties again, add another text property, paste services in there, and then we're going to paste the name of the service that we're binding from our current script as the value. And then after the services are bound, we also set an environment variable. So again, in our script, we have an envars environment variable, which we use to contain the environment variables that need to be set for the application. So back to the environment properties tab, add another text property, paste envars. We're going to copy the environment variable name and value from our current script, and we're going to paste it as the value of the environment variable. And for the script, it assumes that the environment variable is a key value pair separated by a colon. So it should be the environment variable name colon the environment variable value that you want to set. Now the last thing we want to do is make sure that the route we bind to this new version of the application is the same as the current route for the existing application, so we get the load balancing between the two. So there's a routes environment variable that we're going to add as well. And this again is the host name colon the domain name that we want to use. So the host name of our current application is called javaland-todos, and the domain name is just mybluemix.net right now. So this could be any host name that you want colon any domain name that you want that have currently bound to your application. So we're going to save this, but before we save it, we're going to go ahead and deploy and change our deployment script to be what is suggested in the usage details and the blue-green deployment script here. So we'll just copy this from here and we'll paste it right in here. We just need to get rid of some of the comments so that these the script actually executes. So we'll get rid of all the comments here. And after doing that, we can save our deployment stage. And once saved, let's try it out. So we're going to click deploy here, and we're going to click run. And while this deployment is going to run here, what we're going to do is use a little command line utility called siege to eventually actually just make requests to our application and show that there's no downtime while the deployment is happening. So this utility called siege is just going to make a request to the URL of our application, which is javaland-todos.mybluemix.net. And so let me go ahead and start that up, and you'll see that there will be no 404s returned from the utility while the deployment actually runs. Okay, our deployment has finished, and you can see that we've had 100% availability while that deployment happens. So we had 0 downtime, and we hit the application over 5,495 times. So a good sampling of requests made to the application, and it was up the entire time the deployment happens. If we look at the dashboard in Bluemix, we see we only have one application now available, right? Because the script took care of renaming and deleting the old version of the application. And that's how simple it is to use the script to do blue-green deployments. Thanks for watching.